Before you go waste tens of hours and thousands of dollars on your first business or another business after you've already failed one, make sure you watch the end of this video. I'm going to be sharing with you what I did to get to my first 10, 15K a month, and what I've been able to help a couple other people do the exact same thing with, and what I've been seeing is consistent across the board. Right, a lot of my friends who are making 100, 150, 200K a month with whether it's an agency, a software business, e-com, all these different business models, a lot of them started within the same domain, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you right now. Now, the business itself is within info, so info products. Think of your favorite influencers, people online who are selling coaching programs, courses, whatever it is. You are going to be within that industry, but what you are going to be doing is essentially middlemaning it, so just being the salesperson, right? So what this looks like is you can either be an appointment setter or a closer, which I'll cover both of those today. And this is the easiest way to not have to spend a bunch of money, and you could easily get to 5, 10, even 15K a month within your first 30, 60, 90 days. Now, is this going to be easy? No, I don't want you to think like any of this online business stuff is easy, because at the end of the day, you're still having to go through the growing pains of learning a skill and getting the tools necessary in order to actually be effective on sales calls and to create money. But at the same light, rather than having to learn sales, marketing, fulfillment, and all of these different business functions on top of having some capital to back you up, you can get into this literally today. You can land a role by the end of the week and be on your first role making 3, 5K a month, eventually get to 5, 10K a month within the next 30, 60 days. So going ahead and breaking this down a little bit further, we will get into the difference between setting and closing. So an appointment setter, okay, this can either be done on the DM or phone. The goal is to financially qualify people, right? So let's say you're selling a $5,000 product, but you're talking to a 16-year-old who doesn't have a job, they would not be financially qualified, right? But if you're speaking to a lawyer who wants to make his first few bits of money online, more likely financially qualified, right? These are going to be shorter conversations. Your goal is to just find a couple little key pain points, how long they've had that issue, and are they willing to actually invest, right? So if they don't have any pain, they don't have any issues, and they're not willing to spend money, and they don't have any money, then they're probably not the best fit to book a call. Okay, so the whole purpose of this is to book a call with the closer, make sure they're qualified, and the closer will do the rest. All right, so with this, you can make 3 to 10K a month. I feel like that's pretty solid range. Now, are there people making a little less? Yes. Are there people making a little bit more even? Of course. I've seen setters even make 15, 20K a month. My top month as a setter, I made $12,000. Okay, this is the best noob skill. This doesn't have to be something that takes you a month or two to learn. You can easily get up and running with an appointment setting role within a week or two if you put in a couple hours a day. Okay, the thing is, though, you don't want to stay here too long. I would never stay as a setter more than like 6 months to a year, unless that's something you just really love to do, and you want to maybe make an appointment setting agency in the future. But even then, running an appointment setting agency, you're going to be able to close deals, and if you know how to not only set but close, it'll benefit you massively. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the scripts and all of that today, but getting into being a closer, these are done on Zoom or phone. So these are Zoom and phone sales, or a Google Meet, whatever. And the full process I have here on the Mira board is a full sales process, top to bottom. It isn't like a short conversation. These can be anywhere from 30, 45 minutes to an hour, even 2 hours. I've had some calls where they've been 2 to 3 hours long before I collected $5,000, $10,000. Right now, with this, it varies, but you could definitely expect 8 to 15K a month on a solid roll. People are obviously making 30, 50, 100K a month. Some people are making 4K a month, but I think 8K to 15K is a fairly solid range for your average closing roll. Okay, now this is the most important skill in business overall. So when you're looking to start your own business in the future, I definitely recommend having this skill set, because at the end of the day, in order for them to give you money as a business, you need to be able to persuade them to do so and articulate value, which closing and having that capability is at the forefront of that, right? So this can be a long-term career in itself, right? But if you want to actually start a business one day, this is a good way to get you there. So what this basically does is it allows you to get the number one skill within business while making a good bit of money to actually go and start your business. That way you could have success relatively quickly versus just falling on your face over and over again, starting a business from scratch. All right. So why should you even listen to me in the first place, by the way? I've been in sales for over 3 years now. Started as a corporate SDR, as you can see here, me going into the office, and then I started getting into the info product space after working in corporate sales, staffing agent, enterprise sales with more of the technical side. Right, started working with some of the top influencers in the space, such as Investor Mike, doing $500K to $1 million a month on his info product. I've worked with Chase Hughes, who has sold multiple agencies, including Pro AI to private equity. Worked underneath Luke Alexander. Worked with Jace England, who has one of the top info agencies in the space. And as you can see here, I did $6 million in pipeline generation as an SDR, and I currently work with Noah and Leon. All right, you've even have had as high as a 93% close rate right now, closing over the 90% range. All right, so definitely have a little bit of a background within this. Okay, so if I were to get into this fresh and brand new, how would I go about doing it? Now, my primary way of landing a role would be mainly doing DM outreach on Instagram on top of using Upwork. All right. The reason for that is Upwork is you're basically guaranteeing yourself the ability to get interviews. All right. Versus a lot of these other platforms, it's very hard to get those interviews. Right. But a lot of the top clients, you can be more targeted on your outreach and actually see who you're working with. That is more so on the platform like Instagram, for example, right? Because you can see the influencers. So kind of giving you a little bit more of a breakdown on how that works. You can go do cold outreach by going on YouTube, looking up a specific niche, think of trading, crypto. All right, find out who's got views. You know, if they have views, probably gonna make more money. You can find their Instagram and their emails within their YouTube page, and then you can just send a personalized message. Obviously, make sure you look professional in it, right? And that way you could land those roles. You could also use job boards such as Wellfound and LinkedIn. You could get plugged into certain paid groups on Discord and to certain communities. And then, as I said, you could use Upwork and other freelance sites to land those roles. Now, once you get onto these interviews, right, and you're starting to discuss, you actually need to have some sort of skill set because they're going to ask you to role play. So how do I recommend getting your skill up? There's plenty of content out there on YouTube to get better, right? But I follow this 8-step process. It's my sales framework I give to all my mentees. Some of my mentees are even already getting to 5K plus a month within the first 2 to 4 weeks. In the closing space on part-time roles, right, using this exact same framework after previously having no info experience in general. So right here you have tangible outcome, current situation, problem awareness, pre-handling, ideal criteria, future pacing, cost of action, and then pitch. If you use this process, it's super replicable. You can do this on any sort of sale in general, any sort of niche, and you can predictably get clients to pay you thousands of dollars with this method. Okay, so final bit of advice here before I let you all go is whenever you're thinking about getting into a business, you have to understand that it's going to be way harder than you imagine. And that's because there's an accumulation of skills that you have to have on top of obviously some sort of capital. And the less capital you have getting to something, the more skills you need to make up for that and the more time. Okay, and at the beginning, of your business journey, you usually have more time than money. So you could spend that time acquiring skills and then you get paid to have those skills. Okay, so rather than spending, your time trying to make money, spend it trying to learn skills and then monetize those skills to make money, because that's a hell of a lot more leverage. All right, like now, for example, I made over $17,000 in a single month as a closer, make 10, 15K a month closing, right? And I've done that for however long now. Only reason I've been able to do that is because I traded time and money to get better at the skill, invested over $40,000 in the coaching programs, all right, in order to start my own businesses, right? And on top of that, just did the groundwork in order to actually get better. So if you are really wanting to make it work within this online money space, business space, it's something you're going to have to do is just put the work in, put the time in, and then inevitably it will work. I mean, I'm, for example, here making this video from Bangkok, Thailand, where I live now, and I definitely wasn't the cream of the crop when I was younger. Right? I had a 2.1 GPA in high school, dropped out of college, worked at warehouses and golf courses, landscaping, and all of that. So, we were able to make it here as a byproduct of following this formula. So, hope this was helpful for you all. If you want help with this further, there is a Work With Me link in the description. Feel free to check it out. Or better yet, if you have any questions, just go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll be sure to get back to you and provide you some help. Or you could drop some stuff in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you want more content on how to make your first 5, 10, 15K online through sales.